The standard Cloverleaf interchange is arguably the worst system interchange in existence, but is there a design that can make it the best interchange? Stick around to find out how you can transform your boring Cloverleaf interchange into a functional one for your city and city skylines. Please subscribe. This is what a standard Cloverleaf looks like. In theory, it works great keeping free flow traffic. In practice, it fails miserably at high traffic volumes with the merging patterns from the loops. You can even see this practice within City Skylines itself with the AI. What makes this interchange fail is the tiny distance in which drivers can merge onto the straight lanes, as well as other drivers attempting to merge onto the loop. More often than not, this causes traffic slowdowns and even car crashes due to drivers not expecting the sudden slowdown. The most effective way to eliminate this massive conflict would be to separate the main line of traffic and the merging traffic. Fortunately, this method exists and is highly effective at keeping mainline traffic flowing. You can see here that City Skylines AI is handling this much better than a standard interchange. The merging traffic is separate from the mainline traffic, which prevents slowdowns on the straight traffic pattern. The looping traffic needs to slow down regardless, therefore slowing down the merge in the auxiliary lanes works perfectly, while the traffic entering from the loop is already at a slow speed. Slower speeds means less fatal accidents and provides more time for merging to occur. You can also provide a longer section of a lane to allow the traffic entering from the loop to have even more time if traffic trying to enter the loop makes it more difficult to merge. In game, this is highly efficient with very minimal slowdown. I bet you're curious how I built this. Stick around as I'll run through the building process very quickly. I have my two main lines of traffic already laid out. I'll build my merging lanes on one of the main lines a few units off to the side on both sides. I'll pre-build some of my loops so I can kind of figure out where the spacing is. Remember, loops need to be big to give time for vehicles to slow down on the tightest portion of the curve. I'll also build out the other merging lanes so I can connect the loops to these as well. With the merging lanes built, it's just a matter of connecting each of the loops as well as the right turn to these merging lanes. Once all of those are connected, make sure the merging lanes merge back onto the main lines of the freeways. And there you have it, a much better Cloverleaf. Don't go anywhere yet. We can still dress this up to make it look much nicer than what it is currently. If you'd like to follow along, you will need the following mod: Traffic Manager, Intersection Marking Tool, Node Controller, and Network Multi-Tool. You can also have Move It if you want, but it's not necessary. I also use Anarchy to have smoother intersections with my road, but it is also not a requirement for this build. I like to use Traffic Manager to set proper lane merging so vehicles in the game don't try to cut across all lanes as soon as they merge onto the freeway. That's the biggest slowdown of traffic you can get in the game, so make sure you control that as best as you can. No Controller is nice as it allows me to fine-tune my intersections and makes using Intersection Marking Tool much easier. Using the Intersection Marking Tool is nice to have a realistic lines on the road. It's also a good way to place down barriers if you have that asset, but that's a video for another day. I use Network Multi-Tool to add and remove nodes as well as set roadway slopes. Now that you've seen what I've used each of these mods for in this interchange, replicate that to all areas of your own interchange that you build. Now that the interchange looks perfect, it's time to take care of the terrain. Proper terrain for interchanges is difficult and varies greatly depending on location. For this example, I'm going to provide areas for rainwater or snowmelt to drain into. I know the game doesn't actually have flooding due to rain or snowmelt, but I like to try and think about how to properly design an interchange. What I did for this interchange was found my lowest point and set the flatten tool to that elevation. I then flattened everything out in between the interchange. I moved onto the smooth terrain tool and lightly smoothed the edges next to the road, taking care to leave the middle as low as possible. The final step is to add vegetation. Detailing freeways is difficult as you need to provide a 32-foot clear zone on the outside edges of the freeways in case a vehicle drives off the road. It's really for driver safety so they don't go driving their vehicle into a tree. If you decide to put a barrier on the outside of your freeways, you can ignore the 32-foot clear zone as the barrier will prevent the driver from driving straight into a tree. Fortunately, we can use vegetation and shrubbery in our detailing of the freeway, so I selected what was available with the tree brush mod and spread vegetation all around the freeway. I approximated the 32-foot clear zone, but I probably overestimated the distance. I also added some trees just to show you approximately where you can add trees near a freeway. Now let's take a look and see how our interchange performs with all this detail. Looks like it performs extremely well. Please subscribe if you liked my perfect Cloverleaf interchange. Check out my city build of Bridgerton to see more unique builds like this. Let me know if you want to see more interchanges from me.